Howdy, welcome to the channel, Favorite Procrastinator Lettuce. And if you're new here, I like to draw silly, funny images with my persona and my original characters. And if you're not new here, I'm so sorry for being MIA for a long time. I don't remember the last piece I actually posted on here. I'm assuming it was my follower kind of milestone video. I didn't get a lot of questions, so I didn't answer a lot of stuff. Again, it was just a mini milestone I was proud of. I wanted to do something neat. It honestly didn't get a lot of traction or anything else, but I was fine with the end result, so that's all that matters. I'm talking about that video way too long. You're here for this video. Please do check it out if you want to, though. Today we're talking about two of my lovelies, Theodore and Jeremy. Ugh, I love their dynamic so much. They're my online dating sort of trope / at the very bone basics, I am a sucker for friends to lovers. If you didn't know that about the main ship that I tend to promote in my story, this is a secondary one, and both of them involve the bare concept of friends to lovers. So again, this video is meant to be very self-indulgent. Same with this art piece. I wanted to create an art piece that I didn't have to think about, even though I spent way too much time thinking about it, as I explained when it came down to the sketch and anatomy. I just wanted to turn the mind off for a little bit. And I really, despite the sketching process, I really enjoy how this came out. I love the final product. I am happy with it. No regrets. But if that was all I had to say about them, then this video would be pretty short. So I'm just gonna yap about the two characters in general. I may repeat a lot of these facts in future videos, but I don't care. I just want to yap about them. The character on the left is gonna be Jeremy Wright, or his nickname is Jer. That's what I tend to shorten it to. And you probably heard about Theodore Phillips multiple times, or again, I like to shorten his name to Theo. He's going to be on the right. Love that man a lot. Such an anxious overthinker. I wanted to use this video as a way to yap about my two little characters. It's not so much yapping about their relationship, as a lot of their relationship is kind of what's unfolding in the main story. It's me teaching my character Theodore how to learn to love healthily. In his backstory, he had a lot of friends with benefits type of relationships. He never had anything solid, nothing concrete, nothing with labels, and like none of it was for actual personal connection. A lot of his past relationships involved personal gain. Someone was wanting something from him and his family in terms of business or even social connection, and him also either wanting similar business or social relations, to on top of it feeling the void in his heart. Corny, cringy, edgy. I know, we love it. But that's why I want to yap about the two of them personality-wise, not so much relationship-wise, because again, in the main story that focuses on Theo's side, it's basically him starting a relationship with Jeremy, and it's actually supposed to be his first healthy and actual, with labels, relationship. And of course, Jeremy would then sort of take on a kind of teaching aspect in the relationship. He's teaching him what should be, should not be healthy. He's still learning it himself, as Jeremy has gotten out of a toxic and I wouldn't say physically abusive, but it is more of an emotional abusive. So he did leave that partner and is still trying to figure out his life on his own as he's re-entering the dating pool. But again, that's stuff we tackle if you see the main storyline I have in store. I don't want to reel all of that way too soon. But of course, all of that is stuff that we kind of tackle when I am going to develop the story a bit more. I don't want to dive into that too much right now, since that's a lot of future planning that I am not capable of yet. So this is mainly going to be me looking over some questions and answering and explaining them for both of my characters in general. Now, one of the questions is, what would be considered the best thing in my character's life as of right now? For Jeremy, it's his job. He is in love with his job. He enjoys what he does. He gets to meet a bunch of different creators and authors as he dips his fingers into different projects. He works at Nicholas's startup company for influencers. They're kind of like a marketing agency, if that makes sense. That's Jeremy's job. His role is basically Nicholas's assistant, but he loves his job because he gets more power than that. Nicholas is a very free-spirited person, so he honestly just lets Jeremy do whatever he wants. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but Jeremy has a lot of respect with Nicholas, so he gets a lot more free range. He gets to pick and choose what projects he's a part of, which creators he sees and meets. He just really loves his job and the flexibility it brings him, even though Nicholas stresses him the fuck out. And then the best thing in Theodore's life, he would say, is his 2 roommates. My poor lonely boy. He doesn't have a lot of social interaction from when he was growing up in his family and the life he had before he left his family. So he's very grateful for the 2 friends he has right now. He's grateful that they decided to take him in. He coincidentally met Nicholas at a gas station after working one of his shifts at the movie theater that he's at. He works as a night guard, which is kind of the uniform that he's in for this picture. So yeah, he's a night security guard, and he met Nicholas offhandedly at the gas station trying to fill up his van. At that point in time, he was living in his van still. Again, he didn't want Nicholas and Jax to know that, but Nicholas mentioned that they were looking for a roommate, another one. They did not have the space for another roommate, but he kind of got the story from Jax about him living in the van. He thought this would be a casual way to bring up them having him move in with them so he wouldn't be living in a van no more. So he's just very grateful for them, grateful for the fact that Nicholas was open enough to accepting a new stranger, a new friend, as a potential roommate, even though, again, they did not have the space for another roommate. Jax and Nicholas lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with an office. They don't have room for another person. But they just wanted to help out a friend. And they're very grateful for Jax as well, because even when they were offered to move in, Jax was the first person to be like, I'll just move all my shit into my work office. I just care about my office setup. You take my bedroom. So he was very grateful for Jax, 1, offering that, and 2, introducing him to the internet. Theodore had no idea the concept of what social media was or what it could do as an individual person rather than a business. The only experience he has with the internet is posting like job postings for new hires for the hotel opera house thing that they're running. I haven't decided the empire they're in. They're probably in both, but I kind of have it themed around an opera house thing, which is why he wanted to work in a movie theater, because it's like the lower version of an opera house. I'm diving into too many details here, but anywho, he's very grateful for Jackson showing him the internet and everything that can happen from being online. What is seemingly an insignificant memory that has stuck with my character. So for Jeremy, it would be the day he interviewed as Nick's assistant. Nick, during the whole interview, complimented and flirted with Jeremy. He's such a freaking flirt. And he doesn't even mean it. He has deep-seated feelings for Jack that he does not want to admit, firstly. And secondly, he is such a flirt. He doesn't care too. He's just flirting to flirt, if that makes sense. He's trying to be silly, but I don't know how to say this in a way that will actually stick with other people. But he's just flirting to flirt. He's just being goofy to be goofy. He's using humor to hide his weaknesses. There we go. What is seemingly an insignificant memory that has stuck with your character? Well, for Jeremy, it was his job interview. It was when he first met Nick, and Nick's personality kind of hit him like a truck. He's not used to somebody who's so openly flirtatious and very, very loose with their compliments. They complimented him for things that Jeremy thought were insignificant. And again, they aren't actually insignificant. Jeremy has a lot of accomplishment under his belt. He's a very great executive assistant. He's very good at what he does. So he undersells himself a lot. But Nicholas oversells people, overhypes them. He's the type to want you to be motivated sort of guy. So that interview really stuck out to him, and it helps him appreciate himself a bit more with the compliments and the flirtatious comments he throws at him. Now, after working together for a couple of years, they kind of slide off of Jeremy's back. They kind of go over his head too at times, but the interview really stuck out to him a lot. It's a very core memory. And on to Theodore's kind of insignificant memory that stuck to him. It would be the times him and his mother would sit around talking. just talking. It was nothing toxic. It was unclimatic. The time that Theodore spent with his mother, while they tend to be insignificant, they really stick with him because they're the few happy memories that he carries with him and thinks about very often. He misses the times when his mother felt like just mom and not, hey, you're the person siding with my father and you're the person who is taking the hard work that I put into this company and claiming it as their own. Because that was the reason why Theodore left. He left because he realized his father was never actually going to hand over the business to him in a way that would set Theodore up for the future, but in a way that would make him seem lesser than his father, even though his father was taking his accomplishments as his own. I don't know if I can explain that correctly, but that home life was not the best life. And him being away from home, now all he has to look back fondly on are the few times him and his mother spent time together just talking, just existing like son and mom. Now this is going to be random, but do they work to support their hobbies, or do their hobbies just fill their time in between work? Now for Jeremy, their hobbies are more of like a time filler in between their work projects. Like I mentioned earlier, they really love their job, so their work at their job doesn't really feel like work. A lot of the times it's fun and fulfilling for them. So when they're not at work, or when they do happen to have a few pieces of free time, they're just mainly doing the hobbies to, again, fill in the time. That's why he's a part of a Discord group, and that's how he met Theodore. He joined the Discord group because there wasn't a lot of requirements to be on all the time. However, when he did have enough free time, there was enough people active that he didn't get bored. It is again a time filler for Jeremy. So for Theodore, things are a little bit different. So before his family home, the hobbies were meant as a way to distract him. And again, sometimes they were actual hobbies, other times they were not hobbies. I use the word hobby loosely for his backstory because a lot of the things he did was mainly to fill the void inside, if you get my drift. But now he is using his free time or the hobbies to try to become an influencer or do something internet related. He's really inspired at the idea of the internet, flexibility and free reign you get online. So that's his hobby right now. He's exploring that. For Theodore, a hobby is an actual hobby. He enjoys his time doing it. He will on occasion not want to go to work to continue said hobby, if that makes sense. And then Jer is the opposite. He just likes working so much, he'll only really do the hobby in between work. What does my character see as their major flaw? So Jeremy, he sees himself as lazy and impatient, and I do want to admit that is sort of his flaws, but they come in a way that he wouldn't expect it. So he can become very lazy when it comes to other people's work he's assigned to. As I said earlier, he can pick and choose which projects he can pick up. However, he does have a bad habit of picking up the jobs and then getting too tunnel focused on Nicholas. That is his main boss. That is the person he has to make sure none of their stuff slips or misses a deadline. So he can get tunnel focused, tunnel vision on Nicholas at times, and causing him to procrastinate and become lazy with the other projects he had picked up or was assigned to help other creators and such. So again, he can be lazy. He does have that aspect to him, and that is a major flaw for him that he sees. But I would like to think that his impatient attitude, like being impatient, is the more key flaw for him. As like I mentioned, the tunnel vision, he will call relentlessly to Nick. He will drop by the apartment. He will hound you for those paperworks and deadlines before submitting it. So those are kind of like his flaws. And then for Theodore, is that he can't let go. And that goes for things that are both good for him and toxic to him. He can't let go of these feelings and resentment that he has towards his father, which is very toxic. His storyline is meant to be him learning to let go of kind of that. But he can't let go of his father. He left everything just to escape his father, his whole life, heir, all the junk, but he can't let him go fully. He just can't. He has issues with actually the final release. And then a similar concept to that is that he was very clingy to the friends who were never really his friends. The friends with benefits that I mentioned earlier that were kind of like a way to fill the hole, he couldn't let them go either. So when he gave up his whole life, gave up the heir, all that junk to escape his father, escape those watching eyes, he couldn't let go of his friends. He tried desperately to hold on to something that wasn't there, and he couldn't see it until they cut him off fully. He couldn't see that or realize it enough for himself to let go until the ex-friends were the ones to officially say, hey, you're of no more use to me, stop bothering me, kind of, you know? What is something that my character tries to pretend to care about? For Jeremy, he pretends to care about politics. He finds the whole thing toxic and a waste of his time. He is what's considered a neutralist, if that makes sense. I think I have most of my OCs as neutralist, but for this question in specific, Jeremy is a neutralist, so he just hates the talk of politics, especially since whenever he wants to, he doesn't have a strong opinion, but if he ever shares an opinion that seems to slight either side, he likes to just shut up after that, because at that point there's nothing else to talk about. It's turned into a debate rather than a discussion. So he just pretends to care, but he won't actually say anything in front of anyone for a proper discussion. Now for Theodore, he tries desperately to care about novels or script writing because that is what Nicholas is into, as Nicholas is a writer himself. He cannot do it convincingly at all. He looks like he's about to fall asleep anytime him and Nicholas start talking about script or about editing and such. He just looks like someone who's about to fall asleep. Now, what are my characters afraid of? Jeremy has a fear of cats. On a deeper level, he's afraid of being unwanted, but he has a fear of cats. He's fine with them as like an animal, but he gets goosebumps anytime he has to walk by a cat or sees a cat in front of him in person. 6 feet personal bubble space distance is what he needs in order to feel calm around a cat. Now for Theodore, he is afraid of blood. He can't stand the sight of it. Paper cuts and those kinds of things, they're fine, but say you got a good scratch on your arm or whatever, he's a little baby, he'll get a little lightheaded and be like, I need to sit down, and if there's more blood around, he will faint. He is a fainter. So he's afraid of blood. On a semi-serious note, he is also afraid of losing the people he loves. However, the fears are only a little different slightly. So for Theodore, he's afraid of like them being taken from him, kind of a losing, with how in his brain, his father's taking everything from him. So the fear is like, I can't have them take you too, you know? And then for Jeremy, his is more of a, I don't want to be abandoned, kind of. I don't want everyone to leave me. This is also in relations for Jeremy's kind of like past. He feels abandoned by his family as he was in the foster care system for some point. He felt abandoned by his ex, he was ultimately the one who was abusing him kind of like emotionally, but that's also probably why he had a fear of losing them. That's something that ex probably manipulated. I, again, haven't worked out their details in kink. So it's a fear. I love talking about my OC's traumas, don't you? On a lighthearted note, what is something that my characters find dumb? So for Jeremy, he finds it dumb how Nick is a workaholic but cannot answer Jeremy's calls or notices about the upcoming deadlines. He finds it absolutely stupid. And something similar for Theodore, he finds it stupid that Nicholas and Jax can't see that they're in love. His two roommates are obviously in love, and he's only known them for a couple months. He's only lived with them for the storyline for like a month, and he can clearly see that there's feelings there that they seem to both be oblivious to. He finds it dumb. And those are all the questions that I could find for my OCs, and those are the ones I really wanted to answer for this video. A couple more fun facts about the two of them if you still want to hear me out. And I know a lot of the stuff I just shared is kind of boring facts and information about them, but again, like I said at the beginning of this video, please self-indulge me. I just want to yap about my little characters. So since I believe we're more than halfway through the video now, probably closer to the end if anything, I did want to talk about their relationship. I find them so cute. They are kind of my fluff ship, if that makes sense. Theodore has a raunchy kind of past. He has a lot of physical experience, if that makes a lot of sense. But however, Jeremy, while not having a lot of like physical experience, has a lot of relationship experience. Again, even though the last relationship they were in with their ex-partner was a very toxic one, they've had other partners before him. This is just the one where they came out on top. They felt stronger. They felt like they've overcome the battle of that relationship, which is why they're ready to move on. But anywho, he has a lot more experience in that aspect. So I just love their relationship. It's just so cute. It's like, again, Jeremy teaching Theodore kind of teaching him what's right and wrong of a respectable partner. He's also letting Theodore know his expectations of the relationship after coming out of such a toxic one. I don't know if I explained that well enough, but that is that aspect of it, and Theodore just really admires Jeremy as well. He admires the job he has, the lifestyle he has, the fact that he was in the Discord group and that's how they met. I sort of wanted their relationship to be really sweet, really fluffy. Again, it's an online dating kind of friends to lovers trope. A little bit of a teaching, not teaching kind of trope, because again, I want Jer to take the leading role of this relationship. I want him to be able to come out of the toxic one with more confidence. I haven't worked out all the kinks in the relationship yet. Again, this is a lot of fluff, a lot of self-indulgence. Not everything is fleshed out, which is kind of why I wanted to start some ask blogs for my characters, but that's another story for another day. I just hope you guys enjoyed the end result of the video, and of course, if you enjoyed the yapping for today, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. If you just cared about the pretty art and nothing else, feel free to check out my socials down below and give me a follow. I try to update more on the socials than I do on my YouTube channel, unfortunately, but hey, I tend to get busy with 2 jobs, as you know. But other than that, I hope you have a good evening, afternoon, or morning. Bye bye.